First of all, congratulations. You're phenomenal as Laz in this miniseries. It's a really great show. I want to start with kind of this dreamlike quality that the show does so well, especially in the pilot. It's kind of hard to discern what is reality and what's not. But can you
Mm.
speak to how that read on the page and what you think the translation of that vision looks like in the final product? Like how you think they correlate?
I think one of my early conversations with the director Wayne Yip, who kind of created the world and was part of like kind of creating these characters, um, was he had a very very clear vision of like how those sort of sequences were going to play out and how the lighting mood would change and slight little differences in the set, um, that even Laz doesn't recognize in the moment. I think the way that they handled it and the way that it was written was so. I mean, as you see it, it's sort of so it was so subtle that I remember reading the first episode and feeling like I had to read it like 3 times because I was like, hold on, what's just happened? Like it was so mind blowing and new to me. I've read very few like psychological thrillers in my life, so for me this was like a new experience. And you do try to start playing mini detective, and you sort of try and or catch the clues early on, and you're like, well, maybe this means this, maybe this means this. The truth is, I don't know that Harlan knew exactly where it was going to end at that point, but like I think the joy is sort of in the not knowing. Sometimes you want to think and that like it makes you think, and it makes you really start believing in one person, and then all of a sudden it completely takes you on a U-turn. So it read just the way that it played, I think, and that's a credit to Harlan, that's a credit to Danny, that's a credit to Wayne, director. They handled it with such nuance.
Yeah, I think as the show went on, I thought I was getting a grip of what the visual cues look like, and then another twist and turn came my way. So I do love that. But to speak to Laz's grief, there's so many layers to it, right? And I'm just curious, like in your career, where do you think his like complex psychology ranks in terms of the different characters you've gotten to play so far in your life?
I'd say he's definitely up there. I mean, this is a man having a breakdown. Like I think for 6 hours, and for me it was for 4 or 5 months of screaming and crying and being scared and then trying to laugh a little bit. But it was a real, I feel like every role is sort of complex in its own right. Or should be, very, very rarely have I been able to sort of phone it in, as they say. I think this one was definitely the most, I don't know, this sort of ticks all the boxes. Maybe not so physically challenging, but mentally and emotionally, like the amount of lines that I had and just the amount of time I spent on set. I mean, he's in pretty much every sequence or scene. So it was a lot of mental gymnastics, put it that way. There was a lot of strain and a lot of exhaustion by the end, but like a challenge that I relished at the time.
Yeah.
So I'd put it towards the top for sure.
Yeah, certainly. I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, he's not like having to run around and be super physical. And then there are scenes where you do have to run around and
There
take
was
a
a lot of
couple hits.
running, yeah,
Yeah.
chasing after someone, and that there was, but like I think the amount I was crying and screaming and shouting, I feel like actually the running was the easy part. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love the levels of the characters from, like I said, the grief goes from like these small moments to these really big explosive moments. But I do need to bring this up because at Comic Book, we're big fans of Philip and Serena from the Pirates franchise. New Pirates movie coming up, right? I'm just wondering, as a fan, what are the chances we get to revisit those characters and some mer children in the future?
Let's beg the producers, because I would love to revisit that world again. I mean, like it was my first ever film. I'd done a bit of TV before, but as a film experience, I was so nervous. I was like a deer in headlights. I didn't know what was happening, and what a scale, what a sort of stage to step onto when you don't really know what's going on. And so I took myself and the job so seriously, and it deserved it in many ways. And Philip is that kind of character, but equally, I look back at that experience and go, God, I wish I just had more fun. Like I just wish I allowed myself to just sort of enjoy it and relish every single moment. So I would love the opportunity to kind of get back on the pirate ship. I mean, that would be a dream come true for me. But unfortunately, it's not not in my hands. So Jerry Bruckheimer, if you're watching this, make it happen.